Hey there, everyone. It's Blair here at Time Trades. Thanks for joining me this weekend. This is your weekly video for Sunday, September 4th. So we missed last weekend. So this is the first video in 2 weeks. So I want to just start with a review of the forecast from August 21st. This is the line we drew. This yellow line here is the line that we drew during that video. And it played out extremely well. I would self-grade this as an A level forecast because at the time, price in the NQ futures was 13,268, and we closed on Friday at 12,104 for an 8.8% decline. And I think over the 10 sessions since then, as you can see, 9 of them were red. We only had one green one. So that was an extremely good forecast, and that was almost completely based off of the Gann waves, noticing that the turn down was starting even prior to the Gann waves, and just projecting that forward to the next Gann wave blue level. The second big contributor to that was the cheat code, because we mentioned during that video that the cheat code often indicates major pivot time periods. So when the cheat code redraws here, you'll see on the screen teal lines that indicate the cheat code pivot period. So the teal lines are midpoints between eclipses, and this caught this major pivot almost perfectly, okay? So you can see how this combination of Gann waves and the cheat code works really well to identify these major pivots. Before I get into what I think is happening next, I want to talk about a quick roadmap update. I want to go back and just sort of review the state of the application right now, and the progress that's been made and the progress that we want to make going forward. So we're continuing to make improvements to the machine learning core. I'm pretty happy with it at the moment, and it's always getting better. The influencer calculations have been added. So this is done for a subset of symbols. I can always add more, but we've got the major symbols right now getting the influencers calculated. The web application, I think it needs a little bit of love. There's some rough edges in the user experience right now that I really want to smooth out. That will be the focus of my development efforts over the next few days and weeks. I also want to add some additional videos that cover off historical analysis and user guide updates and make sure that everything is really clean and clear and easy for new users to understand the capabilities of the application and what's included in it, so people can get started quickly and climb the learning curve quickly as well. Okay, and also I don't want to forget, from August 7th, I added this roadmap item here. We want to identify the key influencers and take that key influencer information that's generated by the machine learning and display it on intraday trading view charts. So that is still in the backlog right now on the roadmap. I don't want to forget about it because I think it's really important. However, I have sort of ranked it, I guess, slightly lower priority than some of the usability improvements here. Okay, so that's the plan right now as of September 4th. As always, things may change. So thanks for your patience as we continue to invest in making time trades better. Okay, so let's flip over and take a look at, before we do that, let's take a look at some of the recent symbols that have been added. So over the last week or so, we've added a number of new symbols: Minerva, Neuroscience, GTII, Intercept Pharma, Heron Therapeutics, Carvana, Copper, for those of you that like to trade metals. We've got an ETF there called CPER, which is a proxy for the copper price, and of course MATIC, the coin. Okay, so those are some of the recently added symbols. And we've also been busy adding new data into the machine learning, and I test all of these extensively to make sure that this new data improves the machine learning forecast. So we've added a lot more declination columns, including when interplanet declinations cross, and out of bounds columns. Okay, so that is helping the machine learning make better forecasts. As well, we are adding columns to identify when certain planet pairs are on the same plane of the ecliptic. Okay, so this is helping the machine learning make better forecasts as well. And we're also adding hotspots in heliocentric Mercury's orbit. Okay, so this is all contributing to improving overall accuracy and precision of the machine learning. Okay, so that's a quick roadmap update. So let's get to where we think price is going to go next here. Okay, so right now we're looking at trading view, and we've got the time trades indicator up. Now, one caveat, and this is something I noticed, there's a very weird bug in, and I don't know if this is in the trading view script or the or trading view itself, but there's a difference in the dates for the Gann waves. So this is actually pretty important because Gann waves are a big part of our process here. So if you notice on NQ futures, the next Gann wave blue is September 7th, but on the QQQs, the next Gann wave blue is September 6th. Now, I took a quick look into this yesterday to see if there was an issue in my code. I couldn't find anything obvious. This is really weird because it's the exact same code that runs on both symbols, and the time zone setting for each chart is the same. So for now, I think it's important that you understand that the QQQ has the accurate dates. Okay, the NASDAQ future Gann waves are later by 1 day, so need to be aware of that. There's some weirdness going on here. Okay, so with that out of the way, I'm going to adjust this arrow, because this arrow that we drew back on August 21st was intended to point at the Gann wave blue, but the Gann wave blue is displaying in the wrong place on NQ futures. So I'm going to make that little adjustment. And Gann wave blue is actually on September 6th, not September 7th, as shown here. I'm going to continue to use NQ futures, though, for the basis for my forecast, because we've got all these nice forecast lines in the past that have worked out really well. What I want to do is, before we start drawing the next forecast line, let's flip over to the Time Trades web application and see if we can see some patterns here. Okay, so we're going to start by looking at the Qs. Okay, so here's the QQQ, and this is taking advantage of the latest machine learning engine updates that I just reviewed with you. And we've got Gann waves turned on. And you can see actually one of the examples of the rough edges that I would say in the web application. You can see how the Gann wave visualization in the web app is very different from the visualization in TradingView. So this is one of the changes I want to make. I want to change the web application Gann wave so that it looks the same as TradingView and it isn't quite so busy. So that's one of the things that I want to get done. Okay, so what are we seeing here? Well, we're at a Gann wave blue. So traditionally this would mean, we're looking for a low in this area, and you can see the Gann wave blue is indeed September 6th. And we've got a high, a little high coming up September 13th. We've got some low probability down days here. And then this pivot high is actually a little bit before the Gann wave yellow, and you can see that's the same pattern we had last time, right? We couldn't, there isn't enough bullish energy to keep going up all the way through to the Gann wave yellow peak. So things tend to peak actually before. And that seems to be the forecast that we're getting here with this little pivot high here, 25% probability of a pivot high in this dark period just before the Gann wave yellow hits. And then after that, we see an increasing probability of down days. Okay, so I don't like to make forecasts based on just looking at one index. I like to look at all of them and try to distill a common pattern from all of them. So let's go and take a look at spiders here. Spiders a little bit easier to read because there's a steep reduction in down pressure here coming up, and then a peak on September 12th. So we've got a potential pivot high September 12th. Again, right in that dark period just before Gann wave yellow. So we can see things are repeating here. And then we've got a steep increase in down pressure all the way into October 3 into the next Gann wave blue, okay? So that is pretty clear. Now let's take a look at the Dow. The Dow is very similar to the spiders, a steep reduction in down pressure into potential pivot high in the September 9th to 12th to 13th area, and then resumption of the down pressure in what looks like a couple of waves down here. But the big difference is we're seeing a pivot low September 20th, and then again October 17th. Okay, but you know, we're starting to see a pattern emerge here of the importance of the September 9th, September 12th area. Let's take a look at IWM. Okay, so IWM, again, very similar to the spiders with a steep reduction of down pressure, little pop up into the 8th, 9th, and 12th date range, and then a big resumption in the down pressure. So this is starting to become clear. We're seeing a pattern emerge here. So let's use this information to build our forecast going forward. So we're going to grab our path tool here. And since we do have this Gann wave blue, which appears on the 6th, not the 7th as shown on futures. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, some volatility in the morning of Tuesday as markets reopen here. And however, that I also wouldn't be surprised to see that volatility get bought either on Tuesday the 6th in the afternoon or later in the week. So let's start with a path going up into, you know, the 12th. And what's interesting here is you can see how the 12th is actually a Gann wave green line. Now the green line indicates where the Gann wave crosses from negative to positive or from positive to negative. Okay, so that is another Gann wave signal. It's I know I often focus on yellow and blue. Those are the extremes of the Gann wave. However, green is also provides very good signals as well. As you can see back over here on August 16th, that Gann wave green just tagged the top perfectly. Okay, so here we are going up into September 12th. And then after that, we see that resumption in down pressure going down into the Gann wave blue around October 3rd, okay? So I'm going to put the path of price there. And now remember that these are not price forecasts, okay? It's just sort of indicative of the shape of price that I expect to see. This could end up, you know, going much lower. It could, you know, often when it comes to price, I focus my price analysis on the magic levels because they tend to be very strong support. So anyways, it's just kind of indicative of the direction, not the magnitude. All right. So there's our new forecast going forward. So this should span the next few weeks, and we will see what happens around here I'm expecting basically a replay of this pattern where we went up into a Gann wave green and then down into a Gann wave blue. Okay, and same thing, up into a Gann wave green, down into a Gann wave blue. All right, so that's our new forecast. Now, one of the events that happened this week that I think freaked everyone out a little bit was the disappearance of our good friend Matt from Twitter. Now, I've been watching him and learning a lot from his tweets. So with the disappearance of the humongous volume of knowledge that he shared with us, I wanted to first acknowledge that and acknowledge the huge hole that he's created in the community. And we miss you, Matt, and we hope that you come back soon. And secondly, I wanted to share some of the things that I've learned from reading his tweets and share that with you in the hopes that we can kind of all build on the knowledge that he shared with us. Okay, so these two EMAs here are what he calls natural order EMAs. So it's also called the square of 12. Okay, so we've got the 144 is the square of 12. Okay, and 103 is the faster EMA. Right, so combined, both of these are the square of 12, and you'll notice that there's a 5-to-7 ratio between them. So it's like the ratio between trading days and calendar days. Okay, so we've got 103 and 144. That's the square of 12. And now, one of the things that's super interesting here is notice what happens when they cross. Okay, so let me just turn off time trades for a moment, and we'll just focus in on the square of 12 behavior when it crosses. Okay, so we've got a cross here March 11th, right? And what happens soon after a cross? We get a big rally. Okay, is that a fluke, or is that a pattern? I don't know. Let's go back and take a look. We scroll back a little bit more. Let's find another cross here. Okay, so here's a cross back 2019, March 18th. And this is a cross going up. The rally continues for a few days, and then we get a little reaction the other way. So on the daily, this is really interesting. You can see how great these things are for support and resistance levels. That's kind of obvious, but the part about the cross is a little bit more subtle. Okay, so what if we drop down to say a shorter time frame? Let's take a look at, I don't know, 1 hour. There should be a few more crosses here, a few more good examples of this. So here's a cross right at a big drop. We didn't get a pump or a counter trend rally immediately, but we did get one eventually. Okay, so the thing about these crosses is that also if you go down even to a lower time frame, let's take a look, because Friday was really interesting. There were some big moves either way, and I spent a lot of time looking at the 30-minute. Okay, and the 30-minute was really good here. Here's a great example of a cross on the 30-minute time frame. And this was August 23rd. We get a square of 12 cross, and then we get this counter trend rally. And then ultimately, these counter trend rallies often get sold. It comes right back up into the square of 12, which acts as resistance, and then boom, it flushes back down. So on the 30-minute, let's see if we can find some more here. Here's a cross. Okay, so a cross going up. The thinner one is the faster EMA. So we get this cross, and then price stalls out, and then we get a flush back down, and it actually goes all the way through the square of 12, and then it crosses back up. So we kind of get a double cross there. So very interesting pattern. That's another thing to add to your arsenal. So if we go and we can even see it on shorter time frames. So we can see here's a square of 12 cross on the 4-minute, right? And this was on Friday, and this pretty much tagged the top. Okay, so right after that cross, you can anticipate a counter trend move. Now you have no way of knowing it's going to retrace the whole thing or just come back to support. But the point is, you should be on high alert for a counter trend reaction after a square 12 cross. Okay, so that's one little observation that I want to share with everyone on some of the stuff that I've learned from Matt's content over the years. Okay, so let's go and take a look at some of the rest of the symbols in time trades here. So we're going to go through and we're going to take a look at, okay, so we've used our indexes to come up with what is a mostly bearish forecast. Let's take a look at the US dollar, because that's a great way to sort of see if there's confluence between the dollar and the indexes, or if things are working at kind of cross purposes here. So the whole idea of looking at the dollar is that if stocks are going down, then the money has to be going somewhere, right? So where's it going? If the dollar is forecast to be going up, then that's indicative of a potential flight to safety trade. Okay, and we can see here we've got 2 waves of the dollar going up, peaking around end of September, or that's when the pivot high is, but the moves up actually continue on into October 6th, and that spans our Gann Wave blue, which is the low of the cycle in October 3, 4, 5, around then. Okay, so this is why I like to look at the dollar. In this case, the symbol in time trades is UUP. We don't have access to futures in time trades, unfortunately, so I use ETFs as a proxy. And this seems to be working pretty well, and it's also confirming our bearish bias on the indexes. So that's good. All right, so that's the dollar. Now, one of my favorite trades at Gann Wave blues is UNG. So UNG is natural gas. And if we take a look at trading view over here, we've got the daily view, and we can see here how well the Gann Wave blue and yellow has mapped it up. Okay, so let's flip over to UNG to get to sidestep that little bug with the dates of the Gann Wave. So you can see here how accurately Gann Wave blue and yellow has called the peaks and valleys of UNG as it moves up in this bull market. Okay, so it's been an incredible trade. I caught most of this from August 9th up to August 22nd, and that was 60% or so plus using Boyle, the 2x ETF. And I'm not saying we're going to get another 60% in Boyle coming up, but you know, Tuesday is a Gann Wave blue day. So if this pattern is going to repeat, it's going to make a nice intermediate low. And I like the way it's wicking down into a magic level here, and it wicked down there on Friday. Maybe we get another wick down and a great buying opportunity, because the fundamentals on UNG are just so good. I don't usually care about fundamentals, but this is an exception. And hopefully we get another wave up into September 19th. And we can see how that goes. Now, the time trades forecast is, or to be honest, it really isn't all that great for UNG, but this is why I always say probabilities are the daily probabilities are the third thing that you should be looking at. The first is price and the second is context. Okay. But the standout part here is we still have a pivot high up here, September 26. Okay, so where is that in relation to the Gann waves here? So September 26 is, looks like it's right around the Gann wave green, right between the yellow and blue. So even though there's very little up pressure from the moves up here to speak of, you know, the highest probability upcoming pivot is leaning bullish. So it's a pivot high, not a pivot low. And this historical pattern of pumps during going from blue to yellow is so strong and so compelling that that's enough for me to re-enter long on Tuesday. So that's something that I'll be looking at and watching closely going forward. Okay, so that's UNG. So let's wrap things up with a quick review of some other symbols. We've taken a look at the US dollar already. Let's take a look at gold, because that's always interesting with whenever we have forecasts of dollar strength and stocks going down. So it looks like the gold forecast is very blah. Not a lot happening here in the next couple of weeks, and if anything, price going down into October 6th. So again, this would seem to highlight and align with the forecast of dollar strength coming up. Okay, so dollar strength, flight to quality, impacting gold, impacting stocks. So everything seems to kind of fit together here, which is nice. And that's one thing I'm always looking at when I look at these time trades is do the forecasts as a whole fit together into some sort of sensible narrative, or are they completely random? In this case, we have a nice sensible narrative. Okay, so that's gold. Let's also take a look. We had a request from a user for a few more foreign exchange pairs. So let's take a look at a deeper level at some of these foreign exchange pairs. We can take a look at USD in Canadian dollar. That's a good one to start with. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing it's about a $1.30 Canadian to buy a US dollar. And there's really not much forecast in terms of moves for the next couple of weeks. I'm kind of discounting these little spikes of red. They're not super compelling. But the big thing that we do see here is big pivot highs, right? So I would interpret this as the bias continuing to trend up into September 29th and October 17th. So those look to be two potential peaks here for the USD Canadian dollar pair. How about USD how about Euro USD? So let's see if this also supports the strong USD thesis. So right now we're at a white magic level in Euro USD at parity there. So that's a white magic level. And we see a few more red bars over the next week or so than green. So a slight bearish bias here indicating the euro is likely to continue to weaken compared to the USD. So that seems to be supportive of the strong USD bias. However, there is a big patch of green here. That may be just sort of a little bear market rally because we also see this giant cluster of pivot lows over here again in early October. So this early October date keeps popping up. I don't think there's much opportunity to long the Euro USD pair until after this cluster of pivot lows. Often these things tend to act as magnets. So even though there's a big probability of green bars here, I think this will continue to pull price down. Okay, so that's a quick tour of some foreign exchange. Let's take a look at crypto. Now, the Bitcoin forecast is a little bit muted right now. There's not a lot going on. I think part of the explanation here is just kind of the overall sort of reduction in volatility over the last few weeks as we sort of chop around under this 24,000 magic level. So let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum's been a lot more it's been a lot more volatile, and we're getting better signals in it. So we can base our crypto forecast off of Ethereum. Ethereum showing some headwinds here, and again, you can see that lovely major pivot right between the two teal cheat code levels. And again, these are midpoints between eclipses, major pivot here. It's the, basically any green days should be sold, any price recovery should be sold here. And we can see a continuation of the downtrend into September 19th, 20th, 21st, into that area before potential uptrend resumes, okay? So I think Ethereum is the best proxy here on which to base your crypto forecasts. Let's take a quick look at MATIC. This is one of the newer coins that we've added to time trades. So MATIC as well shows a little bit of headwind over the next couple of weeks. September 12th, that looks like that's peaking, and we've got some pivot lows here. However, after that, it looks like we've got an opportunity for a couple of waves up heading into October 19th or so. So MATIC looks interesting. There's no, I wouldn't say there's a great trade right now, unless you want to just kind of play the downside a little bit on some shorter term time horizons. Okay, so I think we're at time here, so we're going to wrap things up. Thanks again for using time trades. Good luck trading this week, and we will talk again next week. Thank you. Bye now.